So today we'll talk about water metabolism. And so we'll start with a few questions. So what if water was a nutrient? What if people were drinking according to the guidelines? What if most people were well hydrated? And what if water was the fluid of choice? So keep these questions in your mind as we go through my presentation today. So even though our body is mainly made out of water, water is the least studied element in nutrition. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to start with a little bit historical perspective. I would like to talk a little bit about the guidelines, and I will concentrate on the USDA guidelines in the United States. And USDA has been in business in a little bit more than 150 years by now. So their original mission was to prevent malnutrition and make sure that people were taking enough nutrients. But the first consumer-friendly guidelines were issued in 1947. And back in 1947, they were presented in this circle mode as the basic 7 nutrients. And you can see the different nutrients. Not surprisingly, water was not part of it. And then later on, they updated this basic 7, and they decided to do something simpler. And the simpler version was the basic 4. There is no water in the basic 4. And then the next version that most people are familiar with is the 1992, and this is what I learned when I went to school and when I went to grad school. We had the pyramid, and the base in the pyramid are the things that we're supposed to consume more often. The top of the pyramid is something that we should use very little. And again, if you look carefully, you won't find any water. And then the pyramid was updated in 2005. For a moment, I was a little bit excited. I thought there was water down here. And then when I looked more carefully, there was no water. And then, of course, I got really excited later on in 2011 when my plate came out. And for a few seconds, I thought that that was a glass of water. It was blue, so I got conceived that that was water. And too bad it was not. So what I'm trying to say, water has not been even in the guidelines for all these years. And of course, I got excited again in 2015 when the new guidelines came out, the ones that were announced not too long ago. And those guidelines, actually, you can look in the internet and you can find, this is a website, this is a screenshot, and this is the website of this, of the 2015-2020 dietary guidelines. So I did a little exercise. And the exercise that I did, I went up here in the search box, and you can do this exercise if you want after my presentation. Type the word water and click search. This is what you're going to get. 4 outcomes for water. So the first one is the definition. What is a calorie? The second and the third one, which is the main emphasis of these 2015 dietary guidelines, is limited the amount of water with emphasis in decreasing the consumption of sugary drink and replacing them with plain water. And the favorite was the fourth, was about washing hands with clean running water. So those are the dietary guidelines for water in America these days. We don't have a strong attention for water. We don't really talk about water other than replacing sugary drinks with water. So if you go a little bit farther and you look at conferences and you look at journals, and I do get stuck every year when I go to the American Society of Nutrition, which is the biggest conference in America for nutrition in ASN, when I try to submit my work related to hydration and the effect of water on health, what I find that there is nowhere to put the water. There is no category for hydration. There is no area for water. You try to submit a journal article, and you're trying to find the area that you're supposed to submit that article, and there is no area that will really match in water. So most of the time, we put it something like macronutrient in health. We do dietary assessment. So most of the time, it ends up in areas that has nothing to do with your area or your topic. And of course, if you look something very specific, like betaine, for example, and folic acid. There is an entire section in journals, entire section in conferences, but there is nothing in water. So what I'm trying to say, and I know this expression has been used for many years, is that water is the forgotten nutrient. We forgot about water, and we forget because it has no calories, it has no guilt associated with it, and we forget it as scientists many times as well.